All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Well, folks, the regular season in the National Football League is in the rear view mirror. 18 teams are home as they are going to be watching the proceedings for this month and February, as you got 14 teams that are still around trying to claim that coveted Lombardi trophy as Super Bowl champions. Now, after this weekend, the field is going to be cut down from 14 to 8. Who are going to be the six teams that survive Super Wild Card weekend? We got to wait and see. But first things first, right here on the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast, I'm going to be giving you my picks, of course, for this weekend's action. Now, we're starting tomorrow afternoon as you got the Cleveland Browns traveling to take on the Houston Texans. And for both of these teams, they are surprise entries into the postseason for everyone except themselves. What can you say about the Cleveland Browns this year? Injuries upon injuries upon injuries, but the Browns are here in the postseason. And for the Texans, this was a team that finished with one of the worst records in the National Football League last year. They picked second in the draft. They've got a rookie head coach, and they have themselves a rookie quarterback who have both taken the league by storm. Now, I'll tell you like this contest tomorrow between the Browns and Texans, I think is going to be defined by the defenses. Which defense is going to be able to get to the opposing quarterback? Which defense is going to be able to force that opposing quarterback into a mistake or two? Now, one thing about the Browns, they have themselves a veteran quarterback who knows how to get it done in January. And of course, I'm talking about Joe Flacco. Flacco began this season on the couch, chilling with his kids. And of course, the injuries for the Browns led them to bringing him in. And, Joe Flacco continues to be a calm, cool, and collected character back there at the quarterback position. He's basically, bringing his experience to this Browns team. You still got some talent on that side of the ball. You got Amari Cooper at wide receiver. I like the way that the Cleveland Browns are running the football. And then this defense up front with the likes of Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett going up against this Texans offensive line as he looks to get to CJ Stroud. And then, of course, Browns defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz. Schwartz loves to dial up the pressure. He loves to bring the pressure from different angles. Will he be able to confuse the potential AFC offensive, or NFL rather, offensive rookie of the year in Stroud? But speaking of defenses, we know that D'Amico Ryans can cook it up as well. And he's going to try to go out there and put that pressure on an immobile veteran quarterback in Joe Flacco. I look at this contest, I think it's a classic toss up. I know that Cleveland is favored by 1.5 in this one, but I'll tell you like this. I know that the Texans just won the AFC South, but I feel like this team is playing with house money. And I think the Texans are going to continue to go out there calm, cool, and collected and nice and relaxed. And I'm going to take Houston at home tomorrow by the score of 23-20. Now, tomorrow evening in Arrowhead, you've got the Miami Dolphins traveling to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. And all of the writing on the wall says, you know what? The Dolphins don't have a chance in this game. It's supposed to be a -3 game time temperature at Arrowhead. The Dolphins have been slumping. The Dolphins are also dealing with a slew of injuries. And of course, they went from being in first place in the AFC East a couple of weeks ago, possibly finishing with the best record in the AFC. Now they are the sixth seed, and that they have to go on the road and take on the defending Super Bowl champions. Now, the Chiefs have not been playing well, but you had an opportunity to rest Patrick Mahomes and some other key players last week. And then you're going up against a Dolphins team with so many injuries. No Bradley Chubb, no Jalen Phillips, of course, rushing the passer. That changes a lot of things for what Miami does defensively. Jalen Waddle at wide receiver, questionable. You've got Tyreek Hill, and this is just coming back party to Arrowhead. But then, of course, you got injuries at the running back position for Miami as well. These two teams did meet over in Europe earlier in the season, and it was Kansas City that got the best of Miami. If Miami was healthy, I think the outlook of this game could be different. But it's January. You got the Chiefs at home, and there's too many injuries for the Dolphins to overcome. I'm going to take Kansas City by the score of 27-17. Now, moving ahead to Sunday in Orchard Park, you've got the Buffalo Bills, the surging Buffalo Bills, the champions of the AFC East, taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. You got two teams right here who are heading into the postseason with plenty of momentum. And Buffalo, they're in a 9.5 point favorite at home. And I don't know why people want to write off the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's one of those where the Steelers are another one of those teams. They've dealt with a lot of injuries all season long, but credit to head coach Mike Tomlin for keeping this team together. And Pittsburgh, over the last couple of weeks, appears to have found their formula. They're rolling with Mason Rudolph once again at quarterback, as Mike Tomlin is going to go with the hot hand. But I love the way that the Steelers are running the football with Jalen Warren and Najee Harris. That's setting things up for their play action to the likes of George Pickens and Deontay Johnson. No TJ Watt in this game for Pittsburgh, which is going to be big, but they get Minka Fitzpatrick back in that secondary. You still got Cam Hayward. You still got a lot of talent on that defensive side of the ball for the Steelers. Will they be able to slow down this Buffalo offense, this Buffalo team that has been rolling since the bye week? It looked like Buffalo at one point was going to have to go on the road. Now I think Buffalo can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I say that because if Kansas City wins and Buffalo wins, then finally the Bills get the Chiefs at their place in January. I think Josh Allen and company will take care of business on Sunday afternoon. Won't be that easy, but I'm going to take Buffalo by the score of 23-17. Now, a big one, or obviously they're all big ones this weekend, but a big one that a lot of people want to see Sunday afternoon is you got the Green Bay Packers traveling to take on the Dallas Cowboys. And year one for the Packers with Jordan Love inserted at quarterback has resulted in a trip to the postseason. And a lot of people feel that as the Packers are one of the youngest teams in the NFL, the sky is the limit. Now, on the flip side for the Dallas Cowboys, they're in the postseason. They've won the NFC East. They're rolling, but can they keep it going? Dallas is a completely different team at home this year. They haven't lost there. And I think a big reason for that is the Cowboys' ability to get off to a fast start. And I think that's something that they're going to want to do again. You look at CeeDee Lamb right now, and finally, over the last couple of weeks, Mike McCarthy has realized, you know what? If I put the football in CeeDee Lamb's hands, there's not a lot of cornerbacks, there's not a lot of secondaries around the National Football League that can stop him. Now, Green Bay, excuse me, does not have the best secondary in the National Football League, or one of the better secondaries in the National Football League for that matter. So that definitely is an advantage of Dallas as they look to get CeeDee Lamb involved early and often. But I will say this for the Packers, for them to go out there and pull off this upset. Jordan Love, of course, it's his first playoff game as a starter in the National Football League. But for me, the other thing is this: if you look at the Dallas Cowboys, they cannot stop the run. Jordan Love is not going to have to win this game for the Packers if they go on the road. It's going to be the running ability of Aaron Jones. We saw him take over last week against the Chicago Bears. And I think it's one of those where if you're Matt LaFleur, the Packers head coach, you want to give Aaron Jones at least 25 carries in this contest. If Aaron Jones runs the football at least 25 times, Green Bay wins. It's that plain and simple. Why? Because you keep that Dallas offense on the sideline, but then on top of that, Dallas's strength is their ability to rush the passer with the likes of Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is not as effective if he's selling out for the run. Then you can open things up in your passing game. But you got to get your run game going because if you can do that, you can have some opportunities against this Dallas secondary. Get Jordan Love moving around against this Dallas front and try to allow him to use his legs. For Green Bay, they really can't afford to lose a turnover battle in this one because if Dallas starts forcing Love and his offense and the turnovers, it gets the crowd into the game. And the last thing that you want to do is put Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and company on a short field. You look at Matt LaFleur in this contest, you know what? He's once again in the playoffs. And now, on the flip side for Mike McCarthy, you're going up against a team that lets you go. And of course, Mike McCarthy had success there over the years with Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback in Green Bay. They won a Super Bowl together, actually on the field that they're set to play on come Sunday afternoon. Dallas is heavily favored in this contest. The Cowboys will take the field favored by a touchdown, but I'm going with the upset here. I am going to take Green Bay by the score of 30-27. Now, Ford Field is going to be rocking Sunday night. Why? Because it's the Lions' first playoff game at Ford Field ever. It's the Lions' first playoff home game in 30 years. You got to go back to the days when they played at the Pontiac Silverdome. That's how long that it's been. And of course, it's been 1991 since the Lions last won a playoff contest. Dan Campbell and company, they came into the season expecting to be in this moment. They're here. Now, can they find a way to take it to the next level and get to the second round? Won't be easy as the Lions welcome an old friend to town. Of course, we remember that trade a couple of years ago where the Lions traded quarterback Jared Goff, or pardon me, the Lions traded quarterback Matthew Stafford to the Los Angeles Rams in favor of quarterback Jared Goff. Of course, the Rams sent the Lions picks, you name it. And of course, for the Rams, it's worked out for them because they went on to win a Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford. Well, Stafford is back. And credit to Sean McVay because he's gotten this thing turned around very quickly. You still got the veterans on the defensive side of the ball with the likes of Ndamukong Suh. Pardon me, Ndamukong Suh. Senior moment there for a minute. Please forgive me. Aaron Donald. Okay. And it's one of those where, for the Rams, rookie wide receiver Puka Nakua has just been unstoppable as he's basically Cooper Cup 2.0. So you have a Lions secondary that has had issues stopping the pass all season long. And if Aiden Hutchinson and company cannot get to Matthew Stafford, this defense could be in for a long evening. Now, the Lions have a slew of injuries that they're dealing with on offense. Of course, we saw them lose tight end Sam Laporta over last weekend in the game against the Vikings. But you know what? It's just the next guy up mentality for these Detroit Lions. Again, Ford Field is going to be rocking come Sunday evening. And I think the fans in Motown are going to will the Lions to a victory in this one. I'm going to take Detroit by the score of 30-26. And finally, on Monday night in Tampa, you got the Philadelphia Eagles set to get it on with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And of course, 6 weeks ago, who would have thought that we would have been at this point for either one of these teams? You look at the Bucks, and they found a way to survive the NFC South. They did what they had to do. And on the flip side, for the Philadelphia Eagles, they were on the top perch in the NFC, and they've come tumbling down very quickly as they've lost 5 out of their last 6. And the one game that they won rather, was very shaky. The Eagles are not coming into the postseason with a lot of momentum. You look at their last 2 games, a surprising and disappointing loss at home to the Arizona Cardinals, and then they didn't even show up last Sunday against the New York Giants at MetLife Stadium. And it got to the point that the Eagles pulled their starters. We saw Jalen Hurts injure his finger in that contest. You've got injuries to Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown. You've got infighting. You have this Eagles team simply coming apart at the seams. And this Eagles defense has been an issue all season long. We just saw Tyrod Taylor pick this team apart last week. I'll tell you like this: the Bucks have two All-Pro receivers in Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, and if they can't get to Baker Mayfield is going to pick them apart with his two receivers. And if you focus on the pass, if you're Philadelphia, you still got to worry about Rashad White and this Bucks running attack. And then Todd Bowles defensively, he can cook up a game plan to slow down this Eagles offense. You've got Antoine Winfield Jr., who is playing some of the best football of his career. Tampa knows how to get after you with their pass rush, with their cover two. I think the Eagles are limping into the playoffs, and they're going to limp out very quickly. I'm going to take Tampa Bay in this one at home by the score of 24-20. So, folks, those are my picks for this wild card weekend in the National Football League. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, excuse me, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.